So this is Best New Indie, and we are here with Jamie and James from Indoor Pets. Hi guys.
Hello.
We're here in Nottingham at the Bodega, and you're just about to play.
We are.
Yeah. And how's the tour so far?
It's been lovely. We've been making our way further south, so we started in Glasgow and been slowly making our way down, and it feels like it's gaining momentum. So
It's like we're going downhill. Picking up speed.
I'm very excited for tonight.
No, not up.
Yeah,
It's definitely going up. That's good. And how have your support bands been?
It's been great. We've been, I think most of the shows, it's been a band called Bayboard, who are fantastic.
We like a lot.
Yeah, they've been really bringing it every single night. And tonight we have Cherim, and I haven't seen them live yet, so I'm very excited because I've had their record on repeat in the van.
Okay, that is exciting. So we guys discovered you probably about 3 years ago, maybe even 4 years ago, with the first album, and followed you a lot. And then suddenly you disappeared, and then suddenly you came back.
Yeah.
So what happened there?
A global pandemic, to short answer it was, we very much were on the verge of starting our next campaign when the pandemic hit, and it kind of stopped everything for us, and we ended up kind of having to start from scratch because we had a management that had a change of heart and they went into a different profession. We had a label that basically almost went under because of it.
Right.
And so it was very much finding the energy to start from scratch again after spending so many years kind of building up to it. And that's pretty much it. It's been a slow process to kind of remind ourselves how to play our instruments again and write some songs that we're really proud of. But that's where we are now, with Pathetic Apathetic.
Absolutely. Did you write them in lockdown, or?
Some were written before.
Yeah.
There's like a mixture.
It's a good mix. There are some that have lyrics that seem like they were written very recently because they're kind of like on the pulse, and they weren't. They were actually written a long time ago. It just shows how awful things
still are.
Become more relevant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you came out of the pandemic, you signed to Alcopop Records, which is a brilliant label, and got the album done, went on to make 2 very good videos. So tell me about those videos.
Yeah, so they're kind of like complete opposite ends of the spectrum. So London was one where it was just the 4 of us, and we had a red light, and we just ran around London basically, just chasing ourselves with a red light. So it was done.
Whoever wasn't in the shop was holding the light, or the camera,
riding a bike with the red light on, like E.T. or something. So it was done as cheap as we could afford, and to make it look as good as possible.
Yeah.
And the other one was just a really condensed. We hired this really kind of extravagant room, and then realized, we can't afford this, so we had like 2-3 hours to shoot this whole video. So we're all sweating because we're all running around getting everything set up to make this really glamorous shoot. So we've gone from spending weeks just like roaming around a rainy London to 2 hours in this room.
It was a really good video.
Yeah, I think they both came out quite well.
They both came out really well. So on to the new album then. So Pathetic Apathetic. It is a brilliant album. It's one of our albums of the year already, and probably will be at the end of the year, I'm sure. So you've got a few tracks on there. So lyrically, so tell us about London then, because it's got some really poignant lyrics that are very relevant.
Yeah, London is one that feels very relevant because it is very much about the cost of living and how musicians can really struggle to survive in London, even though they are told that is the place to go to better your career. And it's just really about the struggles that we've all had as a band, trying to make ends meet with our side hustles and all of our other works, whilst trying to be a successful band. And there's just not enough hours in the day, and there's just not enough pounds in the bank accounts to kind of make it all happen. So it was kind of
So are you from London then? Or you moved to London?
We're from Kent, but most of us live in London now. We kind of like emigrated there, I guess. And it's just a tricky time to be a creative because unless you have this like parachute of support where you're being funded by someone, whether it be a family member or someone else, or you're having to work 40-hour weeks and then do it on the side, and then people say, oh, you're not spending enough time on your craft. It's a very hard balance to find. And it was a bit of a moan about that, really.
Yeah, I mean, you're not alone.
The thing that's mad about that song is we had that song in 2019 at the end of the last album campaign.
Yeah.
And we played it, we must have played it live.
Yeah, we
at
did.
like City's British Sound Project and a couple of others. And like everything that you were talking about then was relevant then, but it's just become more and more and more relevant
Yeah.
over the last 4 years, where I'm just like, I don't know how you thought to write that song, because it's like
even
even
using phrases like the cost of living.
Yeah, that
or,
was that wasn't
living wage
didn't exist
Yeah.
in 2019.
Yeah,
No.
and
But
now they're
a
like
thing. It's weird. Very
in the
strange.
vernacular.
Yeah, it is. It's horrific. And then what about Dopamine Girls then?
Dopamine Girls is like a complete contrast, really. It's I guess what's interesting about the album is that it kind of constantly jumps back and forth between these kind of social issues where they're a bit more serious to much more kind of personal songs about like falling in love or having a crush or what it feels like to have a new girlfriend and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's quite funny how it jumps between the two.
Yeah.
Because normally we've kind of shied away from either being personal or being very socially kind of active.
Yeah.
And this is like leapt in both
Yeah,
those
it's
directions
going
at the same
both
time.
ways, back and
Yeah,
forth.
yeah,
So Dopamine Girls is just about that feeling of when you start dating someone and they just take up like 120% of your brain capacity.
Yeah.
You just can't function properly because you just want to spend every moment with them. And
true.
yeah, I got to fit in the pun "be dopamine" into a song.
I like it.
So
Yeah.
that's a personal goal of mine. So yeah.
You achieved that. You definitely achieved that. So what's next for you guys? Finishing off the tour, and then what about later on in the year?
So we've got Nottingham tonight, Bristol tomorrow, and then London on Thursday.
Yeah, London's going to be huge.
Where is it in London?
We're playing the Garage.
Oh, okay, that is
Very
huge.
cool, old
It
school
is.
venue.
Yeah.
And we're very excited to play it. And then we're just doing a few festivals this summer whilst we're spending a lot of time where we could be out in the lovely sunny weather. We're going to be sitting in rooms, putting together some new material, and we're trying to figure out in our heads how that's going to come out. Is that going to be an album? Is it going to be an EP? We're not quite sure yet, but we just want to make the most of this summer where we're just doing a few spot festivals here and there, so we have the time to like.
So we might get more tracks out before the end of the year, or
There might be.
Let's
we
not
don't like
rule it
making
out.
promises.
Yeah.
Let's not promise
Yeah.
it. Yeah, there might be another pandemic. So
You've been a band for 9 years. You learn not to promise people something's coming out until it's about
until it actually
it's tomorrow.
suddenly comes out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
excellent.
yeah.
So obviously we follow a lot of new bands, and you guys have been at it for a while. Have you got any advice for these newbies that are coming up?
I think you have to change your perspectives, I think, as a band. And what we did when we started when we were younger, we maybe had a bit too much arrogance, maybe a little bit too much of our self-worth attached to our band and our art. And so every little decision or setback was the end of the world, and it would just completely rock us if we like were trying to get this record deal and it fell through, or we wanted that support tour and it didn't happen. It would be the end of the world. And then the older we've got, the more we've realized that actually the moments that we actually appreciate as a band is always like in the back of a van after a terrible gig where we're just like making fun of what we did wrong on the stage, or just in the worst travel lodge you can imagine in the UK where rats just run across. They're the memories that we're taking with us. So it's really kind of like cherishing those moments rather than always trying to like push to just be the biggest band, because it's
celebrate the small wins, because it's a big pond and there's plenty of bands out there and plenty of fantastic bands out there, and there isn't any winners and losers in this.
No, it's
game.
really not a competition. There's not like a finite amount of guitar bands that have to exist. You can all exist in harmony.
You can. You can.
There is no competition.
Yeah,
whatsoever.
absolutely.